Fiji. The very word sounds like a promise of paradise, lost in the vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean. Snow-white beaches, azure waters, coral reefs teeming with life, and lush tropical vegetation create a mesmerizing picture. But behind this idyllic facade lies a rich and multifaceted culture, full of traditions and customs rooted deep in centuries past. And among this cultural heritage, dance holds a special place. Dances that are not just entertainment, but a way to express emotions, pass on knowledge, and preserve history. Dances in which the sometimes bare body becomes a language, speaking of beauty, strength, and humanity's connection to nature.
What do we know about Fiji? Do we grasp the true meaning of these rituals, which seem strange and even shocking to us, raised in a different culture? Do we understand that behind every movement, every glance, every wave of the hand lies a universe of meanings, understood only by the initiated? Let us embark on a fascinating journey into the world of Fijian culture to unravel the mysteries of dances where the bare body becomes part of an ancient tradition. Fiji, located in the heart of Melanesia, is home to a unique culture shaped by its geographical location, rich history, and interaction with other peoples. The indigenous people of Fiji, the Fijians, are descendants of the Lapita people, an ancient civilization that began settling the Pacific Islands about 3,500 years ago. Over centuries, the Fijians developed their own distinct culture, characterized by a complex social structure, rich mythology, and unique art.
Dance holds a special place in Fijian culture. It is an integral part of religious ceremonies, festivals, weddings, and other important events. Dances are used to tell stories, glorify gods, express emotions, and strengthen social bonds. Each dance has its own story, its own movements, and its own meaning. Some dances are performed only by men, others only by women, and still others are performed jointly by men and women. One of the most famous and spectacular Fijian dances is the meke. This is a general term for traditional dances, which can vary depending on the region and the specific event. Meke is often performed during important ceremonies and festivals and can include singing, drumming, and other musical instruments. Meke dancers are often dressed in traditional costumes, adorned with feathers, shells, and leaves. Interestingly, some meke dances, particularly those performed by women, may include elements of nudity. This might seem strange and even shocking to people raised in Western culture, where the naked body is often associated with sexuality. However, in Fijian culture, nudity in dance has a completely different meaning. Nudity in Fijian dances is not shameful or sexual. It is rather a way to express beauty, strength, and connection to nature. The naked body is seen as a natural and beautiful part of a human being, not as an object of desire. Dances that involve nudity are often performed during fertility rituals, aimed at ensuring a good harvest and the continuation of the lineage.
In the past, before the arrival of European missionaries, nudity was much more common in Fijian culture. Women often went topless, and this was not considered indecent. However, with the arrival of Europeans and the spread of Christianity, attitudes towards nudity began to change. Missionaries considered nudity sinful and tried to impose their own ideas of morality and decency on the Fijians. Despite the influence of European culture, some traditional dances, including elements of nudity, have survived to this day. They are still performed during important ceremonies and festivals, albeit in a more modest form than before. These dances are an important part of Fiji's cultural heritage and a reminder of the rich and multifaceted history of this island nation.
One example of such a dance is the Waibula, a dance performed by women during the harvest festival. Waibula is a fertility dance aimed at ensuring a good harvest in the coming year. During the dance, women wear grass skirts and adorn themselves with flowers and leaves. The upper body remains bare. The dance movements mimic the process of planting and harvesting. Another example is the Mbeke ni Yalewa, a women's dance often performed at weddings. This dance expresses joy and gratitude for the new family. The women performing Mbeke also wear grass skirts and adorn themselves with flowers. Sometimes the upper body remains bare, especially for young girls.
It is important to note that nudity in Fijian dances is not mandatory. Dancers themselves decide how much they are willing to bear. In some cases, nudity may be symbolic, for example, when a dancer simply removes some clothing. In other cases, nudity may be more complete, but it always expresses beauty, strength, and connection to nature. To understand the significance of nudity in Fijian dances, one must consider the cultural context. In Fijian culture, the body is seen as part of nature, not as an object of desire. Nudity is not shameful or sinful. It is rather a way to express natural beauty and strength.
Furthermore, nudity in dance can be a way to express respect for gods and ancestors. In Fijian mythology, gods and ancestors are often depicted as naked or semi-naked. By dancing naked, people, as it were, draw closer to the gods and ancestors, establishing a connection with them. Finally, nudity in dance can be a way to strengthen social bonds. By dancing together, people feel like they're part of a community, a whole. Nudity in dance can help them overcome shyness and feel more at ease with each other. Of course, attitudes toward nudity in Fijian culture have changed over time. Influenced by European culture and Christianity, many Fijians became ashamed of their traditional culture. However, despite this, some traditional dances that include elements of nudity have survived to this day. They are still performed during important ceremonies and holidays, reminding us of Fiji's rich and multifaceted history. A comparison with other cultures shows that the practice of nudity in ritual dances is not unique to Fiji. In many cultures around the world, especially those closely connected to nature, the naked body is seen as a natural and beautiful part of a human being. In these cultures, nudity is often used in religious ceremonies, fertility rituals, and other important events.
For example, in some Amazonian tribes, women traditionally go topless, and this is not considered indecent. In these tribes, nudity is part of everyday life and has no sexual connotation. In other cultures, like ancient Greece, the nude body was a symbol of beauty and strength and was often depicted in art. Even in modern Western culture, we can find examples of nudity in art and entertainment. For instance, ballet and contemporary dance often include elements of nudity used to express emotions and create an aesthetic effect. Photography and film also frequently use nudity to convey specific messages and create a certain mood.
Thus, nudity in Fijian dances is not something strange or wild. It's part of a rich and multifaceted culture with its own values and traditions. To understand the meaning of nudity in Fijian dances, it's important to consider the cultural context and avoid stereotypes and prejudices. It's important to remember that every culture has its own ideas about beauty, morality, and decency. What is considered normal in one culture may be unacceptable in another. Therefore, before judging any culture, we must try to understand its values and traditions.
Topless dances in Fiji, like many other cultural practices, are unique social adaptations that help us understand the evolution of human communities and the influence of the environment on cultural development. They are part of a complex system of beliefs, values, and traditions passed down through generations. These dances should not be seen as shameful or sexual. They are a way of expressing beauty, strength, and connection with nature. They are a way of strengthening social bonds and preserving cultural heritage.
Studying these traditions allows us to broaden our horizons and better understand the diversity of human culture. It allows us to see the world from a different perspective and appreciate the richness and complexity of the human experience. Let's ask ourselves, aren't our own ideas about morality and decency to some extent shaped by our own culture? Shouldn't we be more open and tolerant of other cultures, even if their traditions seem strange or incomprehensible to us? By immersing ourselves in the world of Fijian dances, we discover not only the beauty and grace of movement, but also the depth and wisdom of ancient traditions. We begin to understand that behind every dance lies a whole story, a whole philosophy, a whole value system. We begin to understand that culture is not just a set of customs and habits, but a living organism that constantly evolves and changes while retaining its uniqueness and identity.
In conclusion, the mystery of topless dances in Fiji lies not in sexuality or indecency, but in a deep connection with nature, respect for ancestors, and a striving for harmony and well-being. These dances are part of Fiji's rich cultural heritage and deserve to be understood and appreciated. They are a reminder that human culture is multifaceted and diverse, and that we should be open and tolerant of other cultures, even if their traditions seem strange or incomprehensible to us.